afternoon, good evening, or good morning, whichever one this podcast is hitting you on. You have just tuned in to the Sons to Fathers Nugget. Now, lately, we've been talking about things that our daughters need, and having those different huddles with your kids to ask them a certain question. And today, we have a special guest. But before we jump into the special guest, I want to tell everybody thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing the podcast. Thank you for following the podcast and so forth and so on. I know we don't have a lot of time today because my special guest has some things that they need to get busy on. So I want to go ahead and jump right into the podcast today. I want you guys to welcome my daughter, my favorite second daughter, Danielle. Welcome to the show, Danielle. Thank you. What an awesome round of applause that was. Now, I told you guys that I was going to ask a question coming up here with some special guests. So my question to you, Danielle, is, what is, and I hate to put you on a spot like this, but this is one of those questions that's like a spur of the moment type thing that only spontaneous answers will do because it's an honest answer. So you don't really have a lot of time to think about the question, but your honest answer, okay? What's the hardest part about being a kid? Well, not so much a kid now, but because you're 18. So happy belated birthday to you. So, what in your perspective is or was the hardest thing about being a kid?
I think mostly the stress, because you're always questioned about what you want to do after you graduate or what you want to do for your future. And it's like you're not really thinking about that when you're a kid. You just want to have fun, do what you want to do. And it's like parents and grown-ups are always on you about how you gotta do this, how you have to act in public or in school, grades you have to have, and stuff like that.
So are you saying that that's a lot of pressure on you from parents and from guardians and from people that look out for your best interests? You think that's a lot of pressure as a little kid or as a youth, or do you think that it's something that's necessary but sometimes is a bother?
I think it's necessary, but it's overused sometimes because everything you do as a child basically determines your decision on how you're going to act for the rest of your life, basically. It gives you a perspective of, if I do this now, if I mess it up, it might cost me consequences in the future. And it's a struggle for kids to understand that. So it gives them more, troubled times to turn into other things to, take their mind off of it.
Interesting. So, as coming from a point of view of being your dad, what would you say are some of the things that, as a dad, now again, these are questions that I talk to you guys about at the end of each podcast about the huddle time that you have with your kids. So, like I was telling you, as I ask you guys to do these things, I'm also doing these things. But today, I'm just putting them out there on Front Street, putting myself out there on blast, if you will, just to give you guys some kind of understanding of what teenagers go through. And she is giving straight up honest answers. I am not coaching. I am not leading in any way. These are straight her questions. So, my next question to you, Danielle, would be, as your father, what are some of the things that you think I can do better at as your father? And be nice to me too.
Honestly, I don't really think there's anything you can do better. I mean,
But what are some of the things that you think that I can improve on then?
Improve on?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes our communication skills, like whenever I'm mad, like not force me to talk, but like try to sit me down, and when I'm upset and I'm like, there's nothing wrong, I don't want to talk about it, blah blah. Like,
so you're saying I should make a bigger effort to want to communicate better, or talk to you about your situation?
Yeah, but also at the same time, like understand where I'm coming from. Like, even though you have your opinions on what I'm saying, like if I was to argue, if I was to be in an argument and say I thought I was right and the girl was wrong, but you thought the girl was also right, you understand where I was coming from. Like, okay, I understand your point, blah blah, and not more so take her side, but
I hear you.
with me.
I got you. So, fathers, if you're listening to this right now, remember what we talked about yesterday on the podcast about the 5 things that your daughters need from you, and that was just one of them. Learning how to communicate, going and making that effort to communicate. That's very, very important. So again, this is just confirmation of what we've already talked about. Now, I'm not saying I'm no super extravagant father, because I know I make mistakes too. But like I've told both of my daughters, that we're new to this parenting thing, and that we're going to make mistakes. And so there will be a lot of apologies coming. So, and there's going to be a lot of mistakes made. But it takes that open line of communication. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
To be able to work those things out and understand that nobody's perfect. And this is still just a work in progress. And fathers, again, that if we learn how to love like Christ loved the church, then we're not going to have any problems with it. If you find somebody that's been through something that you're going through, then you're going to be just fine. But you got to have a willing heart to be able to do that and not just sit back and idly watch things just happen. You have to be intentional about doing those things, about having an open line of communication, and intentional about raising and having a relationship with your daughters. You understand? Now, hopefully sometime this week, whenever my son's schedule opens up, I would love to have his perspective on the show as well. And I'm going to ask him some similar questions as well. So, Danielle.
Yes.
Since we got just a few more minutes left, what questions do you have for me? And be honest. I mean, like, this is like an open forum now. So, like I've told you guys that one day we was in the truck, there's no judging, and I just told the guys yesterday that was listening to the podcast, there's no judging. When you have these open communications, there's no judging, because again, Romans 8:1 says, there is now therefore no condemnation. So fathers, there is no condemnation, there's no judging when you get these questions, but try to understand where they're coming from. Try to put yourself in their shoes to have their perspective when they go to ask you questions, no matter how hard they are.
Do you think it's important to let us fall on our face sometimes, like, and then when we do fall on our face, to pick us back up and like try to teach us the right way? Like, if we're dead set on the decision that we have, and like no matter how you try to phrase it to like fix or change your mind, we're still stuck on that decision. Do you think it's important to let us fall down that path and make the consequences? Or?
Well, in certain instances, yes. As a matter of fact, we just did a podcast on this. Well, let me say this: for all you men that's wondering where my answer is getting ready to come from, my kids do not hear this podcast, because some of the stuff that we deal with here on the Sons to Fathers podcast is strictly for men, and it's for your ears only. And because some of the conversations that we have, some of the things that I talk about on this podcast, isn't meant for everybody, but it's meant for the men that are trying or want to make a difference. So, to answer your question, sometimes, even coming from the situation that we are looking at as a family, that we're looking at right now, sometimes, yeah, I have to let you fall on your face to be able to see reality. A couple weeks ago, I had just said to them in the podcast this very same subject, dealing with this very same scenario, that I can't be there. I can't be your hero, your rescuer to get you out of things every time, because if I did that, what would you learn? It's like taking a test in school. If I helped you on every test in school, then you wouldn't learn anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there comes a time where, like I was just telling Mommy the other day, there comes a time as parents that we have to let go with an open grasp. I know that's kind of contradictory, but there's times that we have to step back as parents or as dads to say, this road is going to lead you down a harsh road and it's going to hurt, but I'm here for you. And if we are loving like Christ loved the church, there's oftentimes, because we are the church isn't a building, it's the people that's in the church that makes the church. Sometimes God will step back if we want to keep bumping our heads and watch and let us fall. But that's to teach us, one, who he is, and that he's always going to be there. And two, to help us realize that we cannot do it without him. So if we as dads would step back and let you bump your head every once in a while, let you fall on your face once in a while, it opens your eyes up to see different things from our perspective, because we've either learned it, lived it, or been through it, or been connected to somebody that's been through it. So to answer your question, yeah, I think it's okay to do that every once in a while. But we are to help you realize that no matter where you go in life, we love you guys unconditionally, and we will always be there to help you up if you have a mindset, and I pray that most people do, that I don't want to go back down this road, because even the Bible tells us that even God would turn you over into a reprobate mind if you continue to go down the path that you know not to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you keep going down the same road, after we've tried to help you out, then we just got to back off and just let you suffer the consequences and repercussions of that thing. So, yeah. Any questions? Any more? That was a good question, though, actually. That was actually put me on the spot, but that's all good. I ain't mad. By the way, y'all, she's getting ready to head off to the military, and I'm very, very proud of her. I really am.
I was just about to ask you a question about that.
Oh. Again, this is not scripted. This is straight from the top of the dome, all right?
So, what do you think my biggest challenge would be in basic training? Like, because I know a lot of people have told me to keep God with me, like, through basic training, so to get me through. But you as a father, like, what do you think my biggest struggle would be? Like, you've known me all my life.
Yeah.
And what I can and can't do. Like, what do you think my limits would be?
Physically, I think you can accomplish anything, because you have that type of willpower. You have that type of mindset. And I don't know if it's passed down from me or from Mom or what. I mean, people say that it's from me, because if I see something, I'm going to do it. If you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it. And you're the same way. You have that knack to try to prove people wrong. If they tell you that you can't do something, you have that knack to try to push through all that. So physically, I don't think you're going to have any issues. Physically, I think one of the issues that you are going to have, and something we're going to definitely be in prayer about, and I hope you guys pray with us too, especially for you fathers out there that has had children leave for the military, is your separation issues, your issues to not be around people that's been with you your whole life and supported you, someone that you can go to whenever you need it to, like Mom and I. We won't be there for you to